Okay, hi everybody. In this next video, we're going to be moving into one of the really great new features of the Duro Sonde and the Duro LoRa Receiver, and that's the remote feature. In the past, you would have to physically pull your device out of the water, plug into it to change your parameters, such as the LoRa parameters, as well as how often you want it to read, but all of that can be done now remotely. Really great feature. So let's get right away into this remote mode. Now, I've already talked a little about some of the LoRa settings, frequency, coding rate, and how you can play around with those to get the best transmission that you're getting or that you want. Now, once again, if you want to change that frequency, maybe now we're deploying another sonde, and remember we have our field unit at 919. Now let's say we're putting another sonde unit maybe another mile away. We're doing some hyperlocal monitoring. Well, we don't want it to be on the same frequency. Well, now we can remotely change the frequency or any of these LoRa parameters and settings remotely. So just show you how that works, let's actually change the frequency on the field unit that we have in our office. So we were at 919 earlier. Let's change that to 920. I'm going to enter 6 zeros. I'm going to click Submit. Now, when you click Submit, you'll notice here in the serial monitor, it goes into that communication mode. Radio RX is started. Now, once again, we probably will wait anywhere from a couple seconds up to 3 minutes for that Duro Sonde field unit to look for a matching LoRa receiver. When it does, it will change that frequency, and now we're going to be on that. And so we can now communicate with our other sonde field unit that we have at 919 megahertz. And then we can, of course, now communicate with our new device that we're putting in the water at that 920 megahertz frequency. So we're just so excited that you can make all of these changes remotely now without having to go out and physically plug in or access your sonde device. So really excited about this. Now, as this is going on, I'm going to point down here to this remote continuous mode feature, and we're going to program that as well. And that's related to changing the timing on how often you want your Duro Sonde device to read. What's really great about this is a lot of people that we've seen using our sonde devices will typically take readings once an hour, maybe even every 3 hours. So 12 readings a day, 24 hours of reading a day, and that's great. A lot of times people aren't looking for, by the minute data, but let's use the example of a weather event coming in, a storm event, something that we want to really observe on how it affects and changes the water that we're monitoring in. Well, if that's the case, and we've programmed this to read once every hour, well, we can simply plug in our LoRa receiver, open up the Duro LoRa GUI beta, go into remote mode, and then simply enter that continuous interval down here, that new interval in seconds, and it will update on that sonde device, and now we can start capturing that weather or storm event. So we really like this feature. I use it quite a lot, especially when we get interesting storms coming through the New York City area. So maybe we have it reading once every hour, and then I'll go and I'll reprogram it to read every 5 minutes. And what's exciting about that is you can really see as the weather changes how that comes in, especially for those of you that are using the nearshore units and you have your bar 2 barometric pressure sensor on there. You'll see the pressure changes, and then you get a lot of great interesting changes in the water itself, especially with pH and a few other parameters. So it looks like we're kind of coming up probably close to that 2-3 minute mark where the device should start to look, and there it is. So you'll see that it's changed the frequency from that 919 to that 920 megahertz frequency. And now we can go and change the timing. So I'm going to enter in here. I think we had this reading every 10 minutes. I'm going to put this for every 1 minute. I'm going to hit Submit, and I'm going to send that out. And once again, it'll keep looking, and once it pairs with that device, it will change that timing. So the remote feature is really great. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Support@DuroUAS.com.